All right, no time for love, Dr. Jones, and we're back. Welcome to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger, and that is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we're gonna dig deep into the minds of a movie that apparently we missed, our most missed movie of 2022. We said we were gonna get to it, and I'll say this: at the time, I had no idea we missed something that was this interesting and this deep. So sit back, relax, and get ready for everything, everywhere, all at once.
And this is a movie that I had a lot of interest in seeing. I just recently saw it, and I'm glad I did because we are watching this right around the Golden Globes, and there's been quite a few awards that were won for that movie. And Short Round, Ki Hai Kwan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, my apologies if I'm not, but I saw little bits of his speech. Mark, did you get a chance to see that at all?
I did not see Data's speech. No.
Oh my God. It was the most feel-good speech.
Oh, wait. All he did was thank Steven Spielberg, right? Like, I saw that part.
That's it. That's it. And just talking about how Hollywood basically shut him out after Head of the Class, and he wasn't able to get any roles. So the dude went to film school and then came back and wins a goddamn Golden Globe. So
I mean,
good
he
for
was
him.
an Encino Man, bro.
He was an Encino Man. Yeah. Head of the Class was also around that time also, but Short Round. My favorite, he's in my favorite Indiana Jones movie, and I'll take that till the day I die. I just love that playful banter, and that kid was so goddamn cute as a little sidekick for Indiana Jones. So wonderful. We're doing this movie because we thought that it was the most highly critically rated movie. It had to do with the multiverse, and here we are. So going into it,
Hang on. I knew nothing of the movie, the multiverse, anything. The cast and Jamie Lee Curtis's Instagram reminded me about it. And I was like, oh, it's apparently doing well. And I want to see what Short Round's up to. We should watch this movie. Literally, Short Round and Jamie Lee Curtis's Instagram got me to watch this movie. I knew nothing of anything else. I had no idea it was the best multiverse movie of 2022. I seriously, all of this whole movie was an amazing surprise to me, and I'm just going to be in a really good mood this whole time.
The reason why I wanted to see this is because there has been an uptick in a lot of Asian-centered movies, such as Crazy Rich Asians. That was one of them, and Michelle Yeoh actually happened to be in that one. So you've got a whole bunch of movies off of that have gotten famous off of Netflix. Train to Busan, which is Korean. You even have Squid Games, which was Korean, which is a TV show. But there seems to be a very big popularity for those types of characters and movies. And it's very interesting because what do you think is really the reason for it? Because unless it's a bunch of anime and dudes just screaming for like 5 minutes in Dragon Ball Z, there's not a lot of live action Asian movies that are very popular, but all of a sudden, boom, they started popping up out of nowhere. So what do you attribute it to?
I attribute it to Jackie Chan. I attribute it to the slow but rising tide for all Asian actors that have come before Michelle Yeoh, who is sitting at the top of the heap with many others, right? But I think that there's this tide all over, right? Where you've got movies like Black Panther that came out that gave you the first Black superhero movie. You had Shang-Chi that gave you the first Asian superhero. You're starting to see the representation through a lens of reality versus this whitewashed lens of Hollywood for all those years. This movie gave you, the cast was still somewhat diverse, but it was realistic. It wasn't, you know, two Asians and then a white guy playing an Asian man. Like they went and got Short Round for this, and I absolutely love it. I think that there's something to be said. There's something to be said for people that are in this movie, for actors like James Hong, who, when I looked up his IMDb, he had 415 movie or TV credits, 415 acting credits.
James Hong, probably one of the funniest moments in Wayne's World 2. Wayne...
absolutely. One of my top 5 best ridiculous fight scenes is the memed, and he goes from doing that, which is, I don't want to call it a racist scene. I want to call it a scene that just calls out every possible like stereotype ever, right? Because I don't think the Mike Myers movies were racist, but they're just like, oh, must defend. It was pretty funny.
It was hilarious.
He's the bad guy in Big Trouble for Little China. I mean, come on. He's the reason we have a gremlin or gremlins, right? It's his fault.
Was that James Hong? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how many movies he's been in.
I guess I thought they must have played him like really old in that movie then. Was he the shop owner?
I believe he was.
He was. Okay. All right. They must have really played him super old, because he wasn't that old at the time, because now he's old.
Now he's 93.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, he's up there now. But I mean, the dude was even in Blade Runner. I mean, he's in so many good movies, and I'm just like, oh, this guy's awesome. And my wife's like, who is that? And I'm like, ugh, you
been in everything. Seinfeld?
Yeah.
The Chinese restaurant owner at Seinfeld?
Bruce.
You've got pretty good odds of, if they needed an Asian in a TV show or a movie, he was probably one of the guys suggested for it.
Especially if it was a voiceover cartoon. Kung Fu Panda, Mulan, Turning Red, all of those. There's like, he was in Chinatown. That's how old he is. 1974, Chinatown with Jack Nicholson. He's in that, and then he's in this.
And they probably played him as if he was 67 years old at the time. So that's what it was.
He's an old soul. He's an old soul, that one.
Oh man. But yeah, and that's what I love to see about some of these movies. It's almost like a Tarantino type of film, with kind of getting these older actors reappearing and kind of just getting a little bit of resurgence, or at least awareness as to who they are, and getting people curious about what they've been in the past. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, another example of that, not Asian, but you see Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie, and she's a very average woman for that age. And Jamie Lee Curtis was always like the sex object in movies before.
I think that Jamie Lee Curtis is probably one of the reasons this movie got off the ground. Right? I would think that she put in a lot with this. Did you see who the producers were?
Yeah.
Did you get a look at that list?
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in those two gentlemen.
I don't know if this is a part of their production house. I don't know if they are the lead producers on it, but after Endgame, the Russos decided to just kind of do their own solo thing. And I'm not sure if this falls under that production wheelhouse, if they had, really heavily influence and oversight on everything. Most producers do, but I don't know if it's just their deal. You know what I mean? If they're the ones who put it out there.
I think that if they read it, I've got to think that they have such a good like writer producer relationship. Like the writing on this is so good. There's not one resolution. There's layers of resolution to this. It's so tight. And I mean, this writer director duo, the only other major credit they've got to their name is Swiss Army Man with Daniel Radcliffe.
Such a strange movie.
Really weird movie. But I'm just, one, I can't believe how good this movie was. And two, I can't believe, excuse me, I can't believe how little money they got to do this. This budget was $25 million.
Yeah, and it's like gross what, over 100 something?
Opening weekend, it did her gross worldwide 103, almost 104, 70 million US.
Yeah.
But 25 million. Like with all the effects, it's like everybody took rate at this point.
So supposedly this was written for Jackie Chan instead of Michelle Yeoh, but they decided to swap it for the female being the lead. How do you think that movie would have played out? And do you think it would have been as good as, well, maybe we're showing our hands. Well, let's just say, I think we both really like this movie, right?
So I'll give you my opinion on that though, and so I will attest that I am not a firsthand. I have no firsthand experience with the overbearing Asian parent, which in and of itself is a caricature and an exaggeration that's given out by comics and people throughout. It's something that's made fun of or teased, right? I do happen to at some points in life have had somewhat, and I would guess nowhere near as bad as the caricature, but everybody at some point feels a little overbeared by their parents, right? Not nearly as much as some of this movie, right? Unless you're a unicorn, right? Unless you have those unicorn parents that just tell you to follow your dreams. I think I know one person who has that level of luck. But I would say that switching the male and female role in this, I don't know that it has as much of an impact that the dad is the balance of good, because in the normal, like, let's call it the normal white bread American household, right? That you grew up with in the movies and on TV. Dad's the authoritarian and mom's always apologizing for him, or making up all that, whatever. Oh well, your dad, he just doesn't know. You know what I mean? That's like in every movie, and
Sure.
and dad, and in this movie, they let Waymond, which I love. I love that they just made him Waymond Wang. What a great just throw in. No, but they let him be silly and himself, and I think it's the perfect role for the actor. And also they give you the strong Asian woman, which is another like stereotype in and of itself, right? And I think that it
more
gives.
more so submissive. I mean, that's one of the things that's a little bit different, where in regards to the men, usually it is for Asian men, it's going to be the strong male with the passive female as a whole, stereotypically. Not to say it's not possible, but
I think the generational shift is the interesting part about this movie, and the reason I like that it's a woman. That her elder in her house, it was her dad who was overbearing, but in her house, it's her that's overbearing. So the message isn't forgive your fathers or forgive your mothers. It's forgive your parents, right? It's acceptance and forgiveness is the message of this movie. And by having that subtle change of just the sex of the characters, I think amplifies the message. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it would have worked as well with a male figure as the sympathetic person at the end. Like, oh, I will be accepting of this. You know what it made me think of is the Wonder Years. So Kevin's dad is this big fucking hard ass and always no nonsense. Very rarely did you get to see, the gentle giant of the man. But it was always the mom that was the nurturer, very much in a lot of TV and movies. But for this, there is a stereotype and reality of Asian moms being so overbearing, maybe not necessarily as over the top as this, but oh gosh, it really hit home with me because it was so accurate. And the fact that even in Filipino culture, which is similar in Chinese culture, you will not necessarily get complimented by your parents. Instead of, going to family parties where it's like, oh, little Johnny's getting straight A's and he made the baseball team. I grew up as uh his hair's too long. He got a C on a report card. Look at his shorts. They're way too long. So it was weird stuff like that. Like, why the fuck would you even say that to these other parents who are probably gloating about their children, and you come out and say, my kid isn't a failure, but I'm going to point out all these different flaws, these inconsequential flaws. So it kind of struck me when she was talking about Joy and was saying, you have to eat healthier. You're getting fat. That is a total truth in a lot of Asian households, to where they'll just call it how they see it. They'll see you after, a semester of college, like, oh, you gained a lot of weight. You're getting fat. Not even, oh, okay. You doing okay? It's like, nah, you're fucking fat. And that's where it's one of those weird flip you on your head, to where it's like, wait, shouldn't parents be very supportive of their children? But that is their way of being supportive, of either stating the obvious or calling out your insecurity, so that way you're more secure in your insecurity and you can rectify it. Kind of messed up, but I don't know, that type of stuff really interested me. And I liked it that there was the mom being the hard ass, and you have this daughter, lesbian daughter, that is just trying to live her life and trying to include her partner in her family life, which, that's beyond me. If that was me, and I've done this before, I mean, you speak to almost all of my ex-girlfriends and even my wife for a certain portion, I would never include my significant others in my home life. Like, I just didn't want them to be around my parents or anything like that, because I was embarrassed or afraid that they would say some weird shit like that. But yeah, that's a little bit of insight as
You
to
know, you and me had a very similar feeling about our home lives, right? Like I had a bunch of siblings that were like 10 years younger than me and younger. So it was like diapers and bottles and Barney in my house. And I was like, no, I'm good. Let's do something else, or let's get away from the teenage angst.
So with your expectation of not having any expectations of the movie, the first 5 minutes to 10 minutes of this movie, what are your thoughts? Kind of walk me through that and just let me know what you were thinking as you were going through. It's like, do I get this? Do I not get this?
It started going fast and I loved it. I was like, oh, we're just going to spit on it and go. Let's do it. Okay. Like, I have to pay attention.
And there's a lot to pay attention to.
It wasn't, I have to watch this 6 times to get it complex. It wasn't, I can't blink or I'm fucked and the whole movie's ruined complex. I would say that this explained the multiverse better than the Loki series.
Okay.
In a much shorter, less drawn out timeline way.
Okay.
And
I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think it's a different way of explaining it. I think this one is just far more entertaining.
Well, this is the Rick and Morty multiverse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this is 100% the Rick and Morty multiverse, but I think that it just was easier to explain, right? In this, I also said to my wife, I'm like, you know what? I like the idea of the all of these multiverses, and you still end up with the same person. I like the romantic nature of this kind of multiverse as opposed to the Marvel one that just branches off into all the branches. Like I like the romantic nature of you end up with the same person in the multiverse kind of
Okay.
thing.
So it
But
revolves around the same people. There's not variance,
yeah,
is what you're saying.
yeah, the lack of variance, fucking variance.
Yeah.
Um, but there's enough variance. There's enough variance to not need variance. But I think that it was good. It got going well. You kind of understood what they were dealing with without understanding why they were doing. Like the only part that made no sense to me was why the Asians couldn't do the math on their taxes. I think that's it. That's the only part of the movie that didn't stand up. Everything else made sense. It was just like, bro, why you start this movie lying to me and then everything else is the truth?
But the funny thing about that is when, and I'm sorry for the pronunciation. I'm just going to call him Short Round. All respect to Mr.
I feel the same way, and I have the utmost respect for He Huai Kwan, but Short Round is who you are. You could be Data, you could be Short Round, but in our heart, you're Short Round and always will be.
Yeah.
And if we and I will make the commitment right now with you, Dan, to if we ever see him in person, to refer to him as Short Round and give him a hug.
I think you would actually be okay with that. He seems like a very nice guy.
I will 100% do that and get beat up by his security guy.
I will. Maybe I'll just refer to just the respect I want to show him. I will just call him Mr. Kwan for the rest of this episode.
Not Mr. Round.
but
you didn't answer. You didn't answer. He could be around Universal Studios now with all of his fame. You won't run up and give the Round a hug? Is that what you're saying?
No, I wouldn't. That's borderline assault. Borderline assault.
I'm disappointed in you. And what better celebrity does to assault than Short Round? I mean,
yeah. I respect people too much in their personal space to just run up and give them a hug, I guess.
He does know a good lawyer.
Yeah,
he does know a good
exactly.
lawyer. That's what Chunk does now.
Chunk is his lawyer. So true fact. Chunk from the Goonies is his lawyer.
I want to hug him more now just to go to court with the Goonies.
So he actually explained to Michelle Yeoh's character, Evelyn, that the reason why she's able to do all these other amazing things and why she has so much potential is because she's so bad at everything. So that would include the taxes for that business. And so I loved how he said that, because it was basically just saying, you are
the
an absolute fuck up
ever.
Yeah. Out of everybody, you're the worst. You can't do anything good. You want to, but you just can't. So I like how it throws it back in her face, because she just thinks so lowly of him. And that's what I kind of walk through, is just, I felt bad for his character, because he is just he's an innocent, very much. I've said that about Groot. He's an innocent and he's a doormat. Michelle Yeoh's character basically just walks on him, takes him for granted, resents him, wishes she never married him. And he was going to hand her divorce papers in the most nice possible way. He wanted everything to go well for his father-in-law's birthday party, that he was going to be like, oh, everything's going to be great. Can I talk to you about this divorce paper? That's so crazy.
Yeah, he wanted to have a chat, just a chat.
Yeah, just wanted to spend some time. I wonder how that conversation would have went if he was able to have that conversation, how that would have played out. I wish they would have actually showed that in an alternate universe or something like that, so that way you can kind of see, oh, this is how it would have played out, which probably would have just been her bulldozing over him, saying he's an idiot and just disregarding the papers. But did you
No.
like the intro of all the different characters? Were you thinking, what is with this dude at the laundromat dancing with Short Round? Like what is the deal with this? Where's this all coming into play? And did you think some of those characters would come into play later on, like Big Nose, the first customer at the laundromat, uh, the guy who
All I
lost his
was
$20
thinking,
bill?
I, I didn't think about why is this person doing this. Um, all I thought of with Jenny Slate was don't be suspicious. That's all I could tell. Like, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Um,
Yeah.
it's good that she can act on her own. But no, I didn't. As you moved forward in the movie, you found that it would be an ensemble revisited thing, like a Rick and Morty. It's 100% a Rick and Morty multiverse.
Oh
Um,
yeah. So
but
ridiculous. So ridiculous.
but awesome. But it's not ridiculous at all. Like there's certain characters that you just feel bad for, like like the bald security guard who just gets the raw end of everything in this movie, including Jamie Lee Curtis's trophies and the giant dildo nunchucks.
let's
Like,
let's talk about that. So the person you're referring to is Andy Lay, and his brother Brian Lay was the other person that was in the little dildo butt plug fight. And those guys are awesome. I actually follow him on Instagram. I knew him well before even Shang-Chi. Uh, what he was the death dealer in Shang-Chi, and him and Simu Liu were training in some of the Marvel
now you're
whatever.
gonna tell me they were in Crazy Rich Asians.
No, they were not,
Oh.
but they were in a movie called Paper Tigers. It's a movie, I believe it was on Netflix or is on Netflix, and it's essentially about these kids who used to be the man. Like they were awesome kung fu martial artists. And then they grew up and they became old and they're no longer the man. And so they get their asses kicked by the Lay brothers. And it was just really, really cool to see them and their awesome martial arts and such good acrobatics. And these guys, follow them up on Instagram. They're so cool. And you'll be amazed at some of their short skits that they do, or short routines that they do for their martial arts choreography.
They did do a lot of really good flippy spinnies.
Yes. And better action than the previous episode we reviewed, just in that one fight scene in itself. So awesome. So awesome. But the action, let's talk about that. With Mr. Kwan, Short Round, dude made a fanny pack look awesome.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty great. It was pretty great. And I don't even know if that's a fanny pack. It was so big. It's just a strap-on bag. But he was fucking beating him down, and he got the little hook into the nose thing going. Like it was real solid. It looked, as I'm watching this movie, like he did a fair amount of his own stunts.
He was a choreographer for some other movies. So I
Okay.
don't know his degree of, what martial arts that he studies, if any, but I mean, it must be something because he did do choreography on other movies. So that it
He
is
was
something
an
where he's,
assistant fight choreographer on X-Men
yeah, yeah,
and the one with Jet Li.
which had awful, awful
Real
fight scenes in
bad.
my opinion.
Real
But
bad.
but the good thing is, he did do some work. It was all just behind the camera, so he was never on camera after Encino Man, unfortunately.
This is a welcome fucking back.
Yeah.
And he was in Loki. Or no,
Uh,
that's season 2.
he's going to be in season 2 of
Yeah.
Loki. Yeah. He was talking about that, and I believe they've already been filming, and there was an article that I wrote that he had this really cool interaction with Tom Hiddleston, he referred to him as short round. So he doesn't take it badly if someone refers to him as short round, which is good because it's such a lovable
Well,
character.
that was his first role.
Yeah.
How crazy is it that he was that good in his first movie?
It's crazy how much he sounds exactly like
Exactly
he
the
did.
same. That man, he did not have the bass vocal drop that some of us get.
Yeah. Yeah. But I did want to talk about him in the first jump in his multiverse. That guy has such charisma. I would I would just be like, sign him up for anything because his versatility to kind of go back and forth between Alpha Waymond and regular Waymond is just a flip of a switch,
Oh
and he
yeah,
did it
no,
perfectly.
this is not a case of, oh, let's get some nostalgic actor back in it and let's go. No, this guy, like, it's a very physical role. And he brought all the physicality necessary to execute the role. So much so that his short round voice did not obstruct whatsoever from his performance.
The way that he carries himself once he transforms into Alpha Waymond, dude, he signed him up for a fucking superhero movie and let him be on a superhero team because he could totally pull that off. You know what? He should have been one of the Eternals. There you go. That would have made the Eternals that much better.
I wouldn't disagree.
God, get more of this guy because he has acting range. Long story short, the dude has acting range, and I respect him a million times more because of his performance in this movie.
This felt Oscar-y. It's the most Oscar-y movie I've watched in a long time. It's the most Oscar-y a movie has felt since pre-pandemic to me.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the multiverse and the fact that it was a true, legit multiverse, not a trioverse like Doctor Strange's movie. Uh, I want to walk through a couple of these. The fucking hot dog fingers. Holy shit.
That was hilarious.
I laughed so hard so many times. But the Space Odyssey 2001, the shitty orchestral
I
version
was
of
like,
it.
holy shit. And then they brought the apes in. And I'm like, this is a way throwback. Nobody gets this reference. Nobody.
So good.
And then
So good.
in the hot dog verse, after they get back together, as Jamie Lee Curtis's foot playing the piano, she's got the same carpal tunnel thing on her foot. And I'm like, oh, the attention to detail is why this movie is so good.
The foot piano playing made me laugh even more. I probably laughed more in this movie than I have. Gosh, what was the last comedic movie that we watched? Really, we just talked about this recently, but I laughed so many times and so hard throughout this movie because it's so clever. There's so many funny references and just off the wall references of things that are just like, where the fuck did they come up with this? And then just fingering each other's with their hot dog fingers in each other's mouths, and then there's like mustard and ketchup coming out. Like that's their sexual experience.
Okay,
And
even when the mom and the daughter had to scissor to be able to see the bagel.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And I know where the butt plugs came from in the fight. Where did the giant dildos come from? I don't even know.
So the
Raccoonie?
Yeah. So fun. Oh God. I was like,
Mom, it's not her. I was like, is she just misremembering this? Is this the thing Asian parents do to where they're wrong and they just sit there in their wrongness and claim to be right? But then they actually made it happen. Like, I wasn't expecting it, but it was so good.
Yeah, it was. Alphaverse was very interesting just because everyone's so stoic and just there, and they're the best possible versions of themselves, but they're also way too serious pricks to be there.
Well, they're like living in Judgment Day. That's what I saw them as, right? They're
Yeah.
the OG John. This is the John Connor verse. Everybody's gonna save John Connor.
Yeah.
Um, that's I loved that they stole so much, like not stole, but gave a nod to so many great movies, but still made it their own in a big bad way. As soon as the dad zoomed in on the fucking magic transformer with a coffee machine wheelchair, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is great.
There were so many nostalgic things for me. Like the Kung Fu universe was awesome. So you have a little bit of training montage of everything, and then the even your pinky
Yeah,
is
the
a
pinky
weapon.
fighting,
Yeah,
the pinky
the
biceps.
fucking bicep, man, and just kicking the shit out of everyone with just her pinky was so damn funny because that's exactly what a 1970s kung fu flick is going to do is just come up with this weird technique such as pinky fighting and the strength of that. Hell, they did it in Kill Bill where she's just sitting there punching
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tree. I wanted to also talk
Well,
about
they also did that. Well, no, I guess not. There's an old Sean Connery movie where he did it with his thumb. I'm just gonna beat you up with my thumb. It was like a
I don't
bar
remember that. What
fight.
was that?
It is in the Presidio. It's
Oh,
like an old '80s movie,
yeah,
but
I
it's still
haven't
funny.
seen that in forever. It's been a while.
The fight clip hits like my Instagram stories every now and then, and I'm just like, oh, this is still funny.
What about the what about your thoughts of the butt plug fight?
I thought that it was funny that everybody needed some kind of feeling to get to where they were going. And when the one dude went full on over the top swanton butt plug bomb, I was just like, oh, with just pants free.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, they're really getting into this. And they do not take themselves that seriously.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a great thing about this movie. It's not, it's a very emotional topic, right? And it's a very, I mean, for some people, it's a very emotional topic.
What, butt plugs?
No, no. The overbearing parent thing.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's an overbearing topic at times, and it can get heavy, right? And that's some movies, it does get heavy, and they get too heavy to be enjoyable. But I feel like this movie balanced the fun and some of the antics that you have to give, like, people our age that we just want some tomfoolery and some of the rest of it. And it also, I think, if you were to watch this movie with the multi generations that the movie's aim is to resolve those relationships, that the parts that brought the most funniness would also bring tension, in that who wants to watch a movie with their overbearing mom where people are doing spinny flippies with a butt plug in their ass, right? So I mean, there's this dual purpose that you can see where it really is genius, right? The message still gets across, but it also, I think, could break the ice in a situation where the message maybe where the relationship could be too tight to move through. I really do. I really think that there's so much depth to this movie. And you know me, I appreciate depth. I do appreciate depth.
So back to the butt plugs. I just really like the fact that once he does his little swan butt dive onto the butt plug, he just does like a T-800 Terminator look, and he's like, "I'm ready to kick your ass," and then he
Yeah.
hits his little his little headset, and then full blown Winnie the Pooh style doing kung fu, trying to kick her ass with the butt plug hanging out. I just, oh gosh.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room and all of the Asians with their outdated Bluetooth headsets? Nobody had a modern Bluetooth headset. Those are Motorola H900s that I sold in 2012 up in that bitch, or not even 2012, like 2008.
I wonder if those will come back just because of this movie.
Come back, they're all recycled. They're all in the garbage. They've all died.
They're still around. I was at the
But,
store
wait,
yesterday and I still saw them. They're not
no.
very popular, but they're still around. But it would be awesome. I should just walk around with that, and I don't know, maybe they'll think.
Dude, that little earpiece, that little tiny one, when it was new was like $200. I remember we used to make like 50% or 25% commission at cell phone stores back in the day.
Wait a second. So you're saying that those things are overpriced?
Oh, what? That's shocking.
One of my favorite scenes in this movie was the rock verse, where it just goes
Where they're just rocks
in front of the fucking canyon.
Hang on. Best part of the rock verse, any scene, go.
Just the back and forth text on the screen. I don't know. That's just
Googly
hilarious
eyes.
to me.
Googly eyes.
I
Where
was
do the
laughing
googly eyes come from? Rocks can't make googly eyes. They can't source the material.
But it's just funny because they have such a genius way of writing that conversation between two inanimate objects, and even just the editing, cutting back and forth, but between the two rocks was expertly done. You would think that, oh, what are you talking about? This, you just shoot a rock. It's no big deal. No, no, you have to cut at the right time. And that writing, I pictured those rocks actually having a conversation because it was that well done. So good. But yeah, the googly eyes was funny. But I laughed so hard between some of their ha conversation, and it was just like, get out of here. This is so fucking funny. Two rocks, literal rocks, and you're getting some type of guttural reaction from me as I laugh at the scene. Very, very creative. So kudos to the directors, the Daniels.
Oh, so this movie, there's so many good points, and I feel bad missing any of them. Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie was amazing. My wife made a joke and said, wow, Jamie Lee Curtis. My wife made a joke and was like, wow, Jamie Lee Curtis looks more like Dan Aykroyd in this movie. She's usually a sex symbol. What's going on? And I'm like, no, she gets to be Michael Myers in this movie. It's great. And she's also the love interest later. Leave it, Jamie Lee Curtis. And
so with the daughter, so let's talk about Juju B, Kitty Fuck. I can't remember the name. Jobu Tayaki.
Jobu.
So I can't remember the name. Jobu Tupaki, maybe. I don't know.
Sounds right. I'll take it.
What did you think about her and the deeper storyline of wanting to find a mom that would relate to her?
I think that's every kid's want, right? When you feel like you're the person that you want to make most happiest, doesn't respect who you're becoming as an adult, doesn't understand, doesn't care to understand, only wants you to do what they want you to do. That's the whole thing that led into Michelle Yeoh's character being the way that she is, right? It's that unreal parental expectation where you think you're helping, but you're hurting because you're stunting growth. You're not allowing failure. You're not allowing, exploration. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think, and I am by no means a tenured parent, right? But I think that it's one of those things that is difficult as a parent to figure out. I can only imagine like some of these situations that I couldn't even imagine handling right now, right? Some of the things that kids are put into, but I think that's the inclination of it to me is she's mad at her mom, just like her mom was mad at her dad, like the downer parent you don't really appreciate. And even after you're a parent, sometimes you don't appreciate because you realize what you can do to support your kid versus what you do to stunt your kid in a way. What about you? I've got a lot of feelings on this.
I found it really interesting that Evelyn Michelle Yeoh's character wanted to do the opposite of what her dad did, because her dad basically was just like, "You're off on your own. See you later." So then she became the helicopter parent that always hovered around, made sure or tried to make sure that she was always doing the right thing. And even if it wasn't in her best interest, it was in her best interest. So I relate to it a lot because there's a lot of things that I myself as a parent do in contrast to my upbringing, on purpose, because yeah, I don't want my kid to go through any of the bad stuff. And that in turn will turn into just different bad stuff with me being the parent, instead of repeating what my parents have done or not done to me or for me. So it was I had some mixed emotions on it, where it's like, oh, so whose side am I on here? And when it all came down to it, the way that I took it as is that the dad, uh, James Hong's character, Gong Gong, he was actually right in letting Evelyn go. As shitty as it seems to be, like, if you marry that guy, you're done. You're cut off. You're not coming back. I'm not going to call you. It seems shitty, but at the same time, you almost have to let your kids make their own decisions, make their own mistakes. So Evelyn learns that and she accepts it, and it's like, oh wow, it wasn't the best thing for me to leave, but it was a good decision for my dad to let it happen. And so she's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to let her go. That in turn,
Did he let her leave or did he kick her out?
it was like the ultimatum. You're going to be with that guy. You're going to go. But I don't see it as such an awful thing, because it is something that you're allowing your child to make their decision. And whether or not it's a, in quotes, bad or good decision, you're giving them the freedom to do that. Now, do I think it's kind of shitty that he never returned her call for years? But obviously something happened to where he came back into her life.
Yeah, he needed something. He was old and dying.
Yeah. But hey, you know what, man? That's kind of life. How some people will come back into your life, whether it's friends or family members, they're sick or dying, whether they want to make amends or they feel legitimately bad on how things turned out. Sometimes that's just how it goes. So I thought that was a very deep and also very relatable plot point, that it's not just the mother and the daughter. It's you know what? My parent wasn't as shitty as I thought. And they made a decision that kind of makes sense and applies to my child's decision. So it's very deep, and it's conflicting too, because you don't want to be a shitty parent and you don't want to see Michelle Yeoh's character be a shitty parent, but the way that she brings it up in allowing her to go is deep, very deep. And we're going to experience it as parents one of these days. We're going to let our kids make a decision that isn't going to be easy, or one that we're going to like, and it's going to happen, and we'll see what are the results of it. But yeah, just deep. I could talk about that for hours.
Yeah, see, I saw that differently. I saw it as him forcibly removing her from his sanctity, right? Like, if you want to do that, get the hell out, as opposed to then you have to leave. Like, I saw it as a less sanctimonious situation than you did. So
sure,
it's
yeah, you're not incorrect on that. I mean, it is, because he, as a not just an Asian man, because there's the whole thing of family honor and respecting your elders, which goes across all different types of ethnicities and nationalities. But at the same time, I am going to stick to my guns. It's the stubborn male household figure, right? I'm going to stick to my guns no matter what. This is my house, my rules,
Wait,
and
hang on.
you're going to
Yeah,
make
hang
that
on.
decision.
I gotta stop right
Okay.
here. Men aren't stubborn. Women are just wrong.
And that one's going to be on repeat for our TikTok little shorts and Instagram reels. There we go. We needed one. We haven't put one out in a few weeks.
You got to do what you got to do.
But yeah, it's something where as a male, young, old, isn't that kind of the thing? Like I'm gonna die on this hill.
I mean, I've died on a lot of dumb hills, but I think that as a person, you're supposed to grow a little bit, right? I mean, that's the optimal way, the self-aware, the evolving way of doing things is you realize that, wow, I died on that hill for no fucking reason. So maybe listen, maybe hear what people are saying, maybe understand different points of view. And in that instance, in that character's place in the film, the only way that they could survive was by the wisdom of the father, right? Like that was what that generation was told. So you listen to me and stay in China and not move to America and not be oppressed.
Isn't it just the overall cycle happening again? She just wanted her father's approval. And same thing with her daughter. She just wanted her mom's acceptance
You
of her
always want
lesbian.
your parents' approval, though.
Yeah.
I think that's just a natural thing as a kid is you want your parents to not you want them to realize they can release the push. Like, there's a point as a parent where you've got to keep pushing a little bit, right? It's your job to not be their friend, but to be their parent, right? And there's a certain level of motivation that you're supposed to provide or that needs to be provided in some cases, but there's such a delicate balance and a it's like pushing a kid on a bike for the first time, right? You can hold on to the bike until the kid tells you it's time to let go, but that's 10 steps too late.
But my point is that it wasn't just Joy trying to get her mother's approval, because that's what she was trying to get. Evelyn wasn't trying for that at all. She was trying to get her dad's approval, and she was still worried about her dad's approval because it was still that whole father-daughter dynamic for her.
Well, I think it's a great example of if you hold onto the bike for too long, you're going to stunt everything. And the longer you hold on to the opinions of those that came before you, and the old way, the longer you stay in the old way, the more of a rut that you continue to live in, evolve or die.
Yeah.
Like, it's there's a lot of things right now that I think if you would consider the octogenarian opinion, you probably wouldn't make sound decisions for what is, the 24th century.
But where is it for an adult? At what age, at what point do you disregard or not worry about what your parents' opinion is? Is Evelyn too old for that?
I think so. I can't speak for everyone, but in my experience, and it is limited and it is stunted and it is what you want to call it. But I think there's a point in your life where you realize and can accept the fact that your parents made that shit up as they went along. And there's a point where you start to be able to empathize with their decisions. And that's when that's when, at least for me, it released all gravitas of their opinion, right? When I was more of a grown up than my parents were, or as much of a grown up as my parents were, right? I'll still deal with things that they have had dealt with already. I'll still, for the first time, things that they've dealt with many times. But like, there's that point where you realize, yeah, no, they don't know what the fuck they're doing either. And whether that comes early in life or late in life, I think depends on the number of opportunities put in front of you and the things that you choose to deal with, right? Those kids that leave home at 16 and have to pay rent and do all that stuff, like, yeah, that prepares you a lot quicker. That gives you more experience versus the kids that, you know, are coddled or are forced back home and don't have the opportunity to take on a job independently and have to pay their own bills and their own mortgage and things like that. That's not coddled in some experience. In some cases, that's just the reality of the economy right now, or in the last 20 years. But I think that it's once you're at the point where you're repeating the decisions your parents have made with better information than they made them with, is when I just let it go. When it's like, okay, now I'm an adult too at a similar level. Does that make sense? That was a ramble, but I think that you got my point.
I think for Evelyn, she didn't understand that until the very end. All the way up until the very, very end, she was trying to fight what her dad did to her, or what she seems that her, or what her opinion of what her dad did to her, which is perception is reality, right? He cut her off, never called her, whatever. Later on in life, now he pops back up again. But he didn't understand the whole letting go concept was a part of what was important for Joy as an adult, that if she wants to go her own way, she can go ahead and go her own way in all of the different multiverse,
Yeah.
you know, options that are out there.
I think it could also be said that because Evelyn left when she did, she didn't get a chance to experience, see, side eye, walk in randomly on, or tangentially be affected by her father's decisions beyond the point where they broke. So beyond 17, 18, right? She didn't see any of the poor decisions he made in her 20s and 30s, right? She didn't get to learn from or compare to the decisions that he had to make. Whereas Joy, though she's not in her 40s or she's not old, she's been there through the struggle. She's seen from the, you know, little apartment to the everything, right? She grew up running around a laundromat, and that kid seemed joyous until the expectations of her mom made her not so, because her mom thought her dad was, all she pictured was her dad wearing a suit saying, "I don't approve." Not any of the regret he may have felt by excommunicating his daughter, or the fact that he stayed in fucking China instead of going to the US.
So let me ask you this. We talk a lot about Evelyn, and she's obviously the authoritarian figure in the household.
And the protagonist of the film.
Do you think there's any fault of Ki Hai Kwan, Wayman, in this movie? Do you think he is at fault for the dynamic of Joy?
No,
and
Wayman's trying to save Joy through the entirety of the movie.
Really, you think so?
Yes, Wayman is trying to, he emancipates her.
I would think that he's trying to absolutely kill her and stop her throughout the multiverse.
I meant from a life perspective, right?
But even that, I don't know. I don't think I would say not on that, not to liberate. He wants her to be included in the home, but not to the
He also
point
wants
of
her to calm the fuck down.
sure.
It seems that he has battled and bested the demons that she is dealing with. And he's tried his damnedest to just let joy be what is driving joy the feeling, not joy the daughter, be what's driving Evelyn's life. But she can't seem to find joy in the same things that he does: googly eyes and jokes.
Do you think the daughter respects him, Joy? I
I'm
don't know
going to
if I
say
ever see
yes.
that. I don't know if I ever see it in the movie.
I'm going to say that the daughter, that's the only person that she feels supported by, is the dad.
I guess the reason why I say that I don't necessarily see that she respects him is because you don't see that father daughter bond besides running around in the laundromat when they were younger.
Well, I think that when the mom doesn't respect the dad, then that also throws everything under the bus too.
Sure.
Joy
Which,
could just feel alone at this point.
yeah,
That her dad can't save her anymore. Her dad can't get through to her mom. So how is she supposed to get through to her mom? She could feel very defeated.
I think that's what you bring up the point that I think I was trying to speak about is because of the poor treatment of Wayman from Evelyn, that yeah, she is alone. She doesn't, and that's why I think she doesn't respect her dad. She's like, this guy's a walking doormat. I just have my girlfriend. I need to get the hell out of here. And either they're going to accept it or peace, I'm out of here. And I think that's what it is. I think it really is an all or nothing type deal. At this point, she's so disconnected from her dad that she doesn't dislike him, but there's no respect there. That's what I found very interesting is that this guy is so damn nice. He's respected by everybody else except his own family. And that comes at a cost for sure throughout the movie. But he ends up being almost 100% the solution to all the problems that are happening in this film. I think it's the big step towards solving the big problems in this film is his just compassion and way of always being nice, uh, empathetic, and caring of a man.
But isn't that what you want from a parent or from a father?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Depends on what the mom's like, right? Because I think there is that duality that you need of different parenting styles and different parenting characteristics, and even just in a family in itself. If you have a family filled with people that are all too similar, there's going to be heads that clash, and that's always just a recipe for disaster. But everyone's too similar. Everyone's going to pick up on each other's bullshit. And
Yeah.
because there's such a different dynamic between mom, dad, daughter, three polarizing figures, that it works, but there is that degree of awareness that none of them are aware of what's going on with the other. Even though Waymond, super nice guy, he is dumb in the sense that he is not aware that his wife is just not interested in absolutely anything about him. And so
Oh,
even with trying to propose the divorce papers, it's in the nice way. Once again, doesn't get the respect, doesn't even have the awareness that, oh yeah, this is too far gone.
I think that he also realizes the overall impact of what he's about to do.
Sure. Yeah.
He's about to destroy the worlds of everybody else involved in the movie. Wayman is the keystone to that family.
I don't think he does realize though.
Oh, I
As
think he
much
does.
as lovable as that guy is because I don't think he's that aware because when he was gonna present the papers and she asks him later on when he's like, well, what do you expect to happen? And he didn't have a response. He didn't know what to say. He thought that they were going to talk it through once he presented those papers, which is really interesting because now I'm going even deeper into this as to like, yeah, as much as I like him as the character and Ki Hai Kwan as his performance of it, man, he's kind of an idiot nice guy that my respect is dropping a little bit lower for him because like, dude, you got to know your surroundings, man. Like, really? You thought this was going to end well by nicely presenting divorce papers? It's
I mean,
possible, but that's very rare.
you know, I think that part of him just how much can you put up with?
Yeah, agreed. And that's why he has the papers. But you're telling me that with his way of how he was presenting that, I don't know if there's ever a right way or a right time to present divorce papers. Maybe you just have someone else present them and just have them be served. But yeah, he didn't think that one through.
Yeah,
And you feel bad for him. He's such a nice guy.
I don't
He
know.
just
I
didn't
hope
think
to
it through.
never know the right way to deliver those.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. But does that change your opinion at all about him? Like just kind of
No,
given that
no,
perspective?
I think that every family needs that grounding, and he provides that grounding in such a. I mean, without him, there's no level of affection either, right?
Yeah.
There's no level of care. There's no level of any high spirited anything. He could be pissed off that they have so much laundry that there's nowhere to put it, and he could, but he's just having a happy problem with. Oh, they're in the house. They're happier there.
Yeah.
Not, oh, I had to put him in the house because you took too many fucking clients and we don't have any goddamn room in this fucking place. So now they're
Yeah.
in my fucking house. No, nope, they're happier there.
His overall outlook on life is a very dangerous one because if you have that positive of an opinion about everyone and their problems and that you just become a doormat or you become taken advantage of. And I just feel bad for those people because I know those people in
See,
real
I
life.
I don't know about that though. Because early in the movie, when he had to fight with the guy that was hitting on his wife, that said, oh, I lost my $20. Did he give him the $20?
Yeah.
But he checked to make sure it was his $20. He opened the machine up and stuff, and he took care of the guy, and the guy left with a smile.
Well, he jumped into the other multiverse body, so it wasn't him that got him the $20, but he was going to give it to him. There was no there was no confrontation for him at all. He always met every confrontation with some degree of niceness or passivity, which is fine, but it's a lot, man. That is a lot for one man to deal with throughout his life. Like I said, I know people like this, and nice, super nice, always have they always get the shit end of the stick. I mean, nice guys finish last, but the person that I'm referring to has finished in dead last in all of the heats he's ever ran, and I feel bad. But what can you do? I mean, sometimes you have that as a characteristic, and you roll with it, and you know what can you do? It's life. That's life. We talked about Wayman. What about some of the other people in this movie? I want to talk about a little cameo from Randy Newman. So, Randy Newman is Raccacoonie, the same Randy Newman from Pixar Toy Story fame. We're talking about Randy Newman. That's Randy Newman. I did not hear his voice in it whatsoever, but I want to watch it again just to catch his voice. Do you think anyone else, because we did this in our last episode, quick fan casting of the three. So Joy, Waymond, and Evelyn, and maybe even Gong Gong, James Hong's character. Who do you think would be another replacement for those people?
Okay. I'm going to ask a question that only exists because of the Asian flair to this film. Is there a specific ethnicity that you would like this question to be answered from?
No.
That makes it easier if you did.
So I will say that Aquafina was supposed to be Joy.
But why was Aquafina not Joy?
She had some scheduling conflicts.
Oh.
You know what I would love to see? So I'm going to go with my fan casting first. But I would love John Witherspoon from Friday, the dad in Friday, as Gong Gong. Wow. I would love to see him. And Winston Duke as Waymond.
Wow.
And then I would like to see.
But that makes Joy a lot younger. Winston Duke, too young.
I mean, he could play older. It's fine.
How old is Winston Duke?
I don't know. But I would.
Winston
but you can
Duke's
still
only
have
36, bro.
You can still have younger parents. That's not a thing. Younger parents, you could totally have that. But
I don't know.
I would probably say you're probably right in the sense that you want to have the older female, right? Because that's kind of the anchor of the whole story. But I don't know. Winston Duke can do no wrong. I'm perfectly fine with that. And you know what? Let him be the cradle while an older woman rocks his world. I'm perfectly fine. And obviously Angela Bassett would be the easy pick for that, but I'm not going to pick Angela Bassett on that. You know who I would pick, and I'm going to do a little bit of race swapping again, is Cate Blanchett as Evelyn.
Ooh.
That would be just a super interesting pick in my head, to where you have the older woman and she's the dominating presence over the nice man, the nice younger man. And you know what? For the child, or the daughter, I should say, we'll probably have to go a little bit younger. But I might say that Zendaya might be a nice daughter. And you know what? She could totally kill the different multiverse flair of everything. And you kind of get that nice kind of believable mixed look from a Cate Blanchett, Winston Duke combo.
Okay.
And John Witherspoon, holy shit. Oh my God. That would be freaking amazing if that was the case. But it would have to be, obviously, it would be Winston Duke's dad as opposed to as to Cate Blanchett's dad. Otherwise, you might have to go Billy Bob Thornton. Just have Billy Bob Thornton play old and play Cate Blanchett's dad.
I'm not against anything that you just threw out there. But I think I've got some pretty good shit going on right now. What's the opposite of Zendaya? Is that give me who's the Jonas Brothers wife?
Priyanka.
No, the one from Game of Thrones.
Sophie.
Yeah, give me Sophie Turner as the daughter. The parents can be one of them can be ScarJo. The other one can be Sean William Scott, sticking with the OG actor, bringing him back in, getting there. And then the parent isn't a dad, it's a mom, and it's Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh God. So you just went all white. You just fucking whitewashed
I whitewashed the
everyone.
shit out of it. I whitewashed the shit out of it. But I changed the dynamic from child not living up to parent to daughter-in-law not living up to mother-in-law. I monster-in-lawed that motherfucker. So I
Wow.
changed it to white people problems.
Okay.
And you get Stifler and Stifler's mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got
Amazing.
another whitewashing that I know my wife will appreciate. But I need your help figuring out the back end of it. The dad is Eugene Levy, and you got to get Dan Levy in there. The pairing of the Levys, and then we need somebody that's super badass at action, and a female character to play the kid.
White, right? You need a white person.
I don't know.
Both.
We can mix it up, baby.
I was gonna say the only one that was gonna rival my Kate Blanchett pick was Uma Thurman, because she could kill Bill it up, and that would have been a sweet little callback.
But I mean, you could do Jennifer Lawrence as the mom.
No.
Too young?
Too not interested to be in this movie because I don't like her. So
Oh, but she does dramatic and action movies. What about Florence Pugh?
Nah.
Oh.
I like her, but I like her way better than Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is just not my pick. Well, maybe that's just our thing now. It's just like we'll do a little bit of fan cast every movie, but I think we've talked.
Apparently, I like the whitewash movies, so maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, I think we should keep doing that. We're definitely going to keep doing this.
I had the Canadian version and the American version. What am I talking about? If it's the Canadian version, Drake's the kid, and we're good. Everybody loves it.
So the ending. I want to talk about the ending again really quick. What did you think about the ending overall?
I thought they were just going to go with the one message of let go. Don't let your parents' opinions bring you down, but then forgive your parents was also there. There was that interweaving. It all kind of went together, and I loved it. I thought that it was the beginning of it was the shout of a generation or a demographic that was sick of the shit they have to put up with. And then it was a full reflection on their aggravation. They're not mad because of the situation. They're mad because they can't let go. They're mad because they hold grudges, and the hardest thing in life is to give up a grudge. So I loved that part of it. I was just like, man, they're really going the full way, the whole way. And that is quality writing, quality storytelling, and quality filmmaking. And that's why this should be Oscar nommed.
It's a feel-good story for me. And I like the depth at the very end, because it's not just magically, oh yeah, I should accept my daughter. It's the path that it led to get there, with all of that final battle, right? She's just going against everything, and she's fighting it. Instead, she decides to take a page out of Wayman's book and decides to accept it and find another way to connect these people, which once again led to another hilarious scene with the finger blasting of the hot dog fingers in each other's mouths with Jamie Lee Curtis, which was so damn funny. Everything is off the wall in this movie, and it's just really, really good, but it's so deep too, because you have that whole acceptance of, oh, my significant other isn't a complete moron. They do know something, and you know what? It's pretty damn good, and this is what's going to be useful into solving this problem, or another way to solve this problem, or get to a resolution. And getting to that resolution where you think everything is good, and then Joy's like, hey, I'm glad you found your shit and you're really starting to get it together, but sorry,
it's not just about you.
Yeah. It was just a very nice kind of slap in the face that, oh shit, yeah, this is real life. It isn't just about me and myself, my self growth and awareness of how shitty of a person I am, and accepting now of my husband. But oh yeah, I have a child. Even though they're an adult, I have a child that I have failed in one way or another or multiple. And how do I get past this? And it's just the acceptance of it, which is, I think everyone in the entire world, if they could take a page out of that book and just be accepting of one another, of each other, and of themselves, we would have a very nice ending for all of us.
You hear that, kids? Everybody love each other and be accepting of each other.
Mark, before we go, can you do this movie all day?
I love the message. I love the cast. I love the feels. But no, I can't. I can't do it all day. And I'm going to tell you why I can't do it all day. I feel like this is a movie that overconsumption leads to some numbing. I feel like the message doesn't hit as strong if you know what's coming the whole time. I want to watch Ratatouille all day, but I understand. And there's certain things that the first time you see them, they wow, but they're not at a level where they're going to wow every day. Happy to watch it every now and again for the feels and the positiveness, but it's not on a regular rotation. At least for me. Dan, do you feel differently? Can you do this movie all day?
So, as we were talking about it and we were unfolding some of the things that I didn't even think about while watching the movie, such as, is Waymond really just too nice of a guy? And is he just, does that make him a not good guy? Uh, I found that super interesting because that leads me down a path of, okay, I'm going to critique this movie even more. But I will say that I enjoy that out of the movie. If it is something that it is just, you take it one way, you feel one way about it, you watch it once or you watch it twice or watch it 100 times. If you feel the same way about it every single time, it might be an entertaining movie. But this has such depth, such complexity. And I guarantee you, if you watch this movie 6 times, maybe even more, you're going to see something new that you didn't see the previous time, because there's so many different callbacks to previous movies. There's so many random things, such as the jump pads. I watched it again and I saw a guy fucking a garbage can. Don't know if he caught that when he watched it the first way through, but so crazy. And it's those little instances, those scenes where you focus on something else in frame, you miss something in a completely different frame, which is, to me, a really great film, because if you can watch it a bunch of different times, get a different type of emotional response, have a different viewpoint on the characters instead of just face value, it's deep. I like it. Nostalgia because of Short Round, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michelle Yeoh, who was in my favorite Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie. Yeah,
Day.
it was a damn good movie, and yes, I can do this all day.
I'm glad that you could do this all day. I'm glad that it was for reasons that made sense and that inspired me to take another viewing of this movie and just to see who's fucking a garbage can, basically. I mean, that's always a reason to watch a movie, right?
It is. For this movie, absolutely. You'll see so many random things happening in the background. So anyone or anytime that someone's doing a jump pad, you just have to pay close attention to the different characters throughout, and you will just be like, what the fuck is that going on in the background right there? It's
No, I
good
love it.
stuff.
You know what? Opportunity here, listeners. Any of your favorite background hijinks from this movie? Not the stuff that was in your face, like the dildo nunchucks, but any of those little background pieces that stuck out to you, leave them in the comments, leave them in the chat. Leave them when you put down your 5-star review, and we will respond in kind to these and read them on our next podcast.
That's been the episode. I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger. That's Mark, the resident Jedi.